Hey guys, this is Nick with EDC Mag, and today we're going to talk about a knife from Michael Zieba. Before we get into that, I want to show you guys this real quick. This is a new pry bar from WE Knives. It's called the WE Gesila. And I wanted to talk about this a little bit because I carry a pry bar part of the time, and a lot of people will ask me why I'm carrying a pry bar. Well, I carry a pry bar because one of the number one reasons that knives get messed up is people try to use them for things they weren't meant for. And the number one thing that people try to do with a knife when they're in a situation and they're desperate is they try to pry with it. And that inevitably will break a tip, break a blade, just do irreparable damage. And so the point of carrying a pry bar is just to take that situation away in the event that you do need to pry something at some point, or even up and above that so much is somebody tries to borrow your knife and you assume they're going to cut something and they need to unscrew something, so they're using it as a screwdriver, a pry bar, God knows what, when you could have just said, what are you doing with it? Here's a pry bar. This one I like for two reasons. Number one, as you guys have probably seen or heard me mention, the WE Chimera. I love this knife. I love the finish on it. They did the same finish on this pry bar, so I had to have that for several reasons. For one, I love this pry bar because it has a pocket clip on it. And I actually do carry that in my shirt pocket along with a few other things, usually a pen or whatever the case may be. But it's not heavy. It fits in your shirt pocket really well. And it's just very easy and convenient to have on you and to have around. Historically, I haven't carried one because the ones that I have up to this point didn't have a pocket clip. Now there are some out there that do. I just didn't happen to have one. So when I saw this and it matched the Chimera so well, I really just decided it was time to pull the trigger. Plus, let's see, I think they retail at 48 bucks. They're titanium. I had some points with Knife Center, so that little dude right there cost me $2. That's how we roll. But if I would, I still would have paid the 48 bucks because this thing has been useful. It's been nice to have, and it's become part of my everyday carry. Because the last thing when you're carrying a really nice knife in your pocket, at least me, one thing I'm trying to do is reduce the amount of other metal I have in that pocket because I don't want them all banging around, scratching each other up. So this clip can carry just about anywhere, on your pocket, in any pocket, on your shirt, you name it. With that clip, it just makes it really versatile. Somebody asked me how long it was. Well, this is a 3.9 inch blade, so you're probably looking right at maybe just a little bit over 4 inches. Now this thing is, a production piece. Oh wow, okay, so it is just a little bit over, actually it's about 4 3/4, but it's titanium, so it's not that heavy, and it doesn't weigh your shirt pocket down. At least it doesn't weigh mine down. In fact, there's been several times that I was looking for something when I could have used it because I forgot I had it on me, because I'm just not used to having one all the time yet, so I just forget that it's an option. Regardless, still not going to use my knife. But if anybody that sells WE knives has these things. They come in two flavors. I love this one just because it matches the Chimera. So if you've ever been curious about the pocket pry bars, ever wanted to try one, this is one of the best ones I've tried so far. I love it. It's nice. It's cool. I would highly recommend it, so definitely give it a shot. All right. Now let's talk about the main attraction here. This is the Zieba S5, and I believe it's called Stolen Souls. It is a 4-inch blade, M390 steel. It's a frame lock. At first glance, well, not just first glance, I mean, it's a fairly, I would call it basic knife until you pick it up or start looking a little closer. That's when all bets are off. This is probably one of the sexiest blades that I have possibly ever owned. This thing is stunning. Now, this was made by Michael Zieba. Michael's been making knives for, I want to say, maybe a little bit less than a decade. He's out of Brooklyn. He came here as a kid from Poland when he was like 11 years old, I think. And he worked with his dad, and this guy is just a master craftsman. He's got a ton of models out. This one was a collab between himself and his mentor, which is Jason Knight of Knight Knives. Now, you guys probably, Jason is a master bladesmith, very well known, been around a long time. He was on several seasons of Forged in Fire. He was actually covering for one of the regular guys that was having hand surgery or something, had to take some time for recovery. So Jason stepped in and did an amazing job, but that really brought him a lot of fame and notoriety as well. Most people know Jason for his kukris, and he just makes some amazing knives. So there are quite a few things on this knife that scream Jason, but Michael's got just so many different. This is the S5 XL. There's an S5 Mini. They call this Stolen Souls. Here, see how we can pick this up due to the clip, the back spacer. It's all skulls. I don't know if that'll pick it up. Here, let's see. That helps. Which is very cool, and I know there was a few limited edition versions of these. These came out in, I believe, 2017, and I had an S2, and these models go from S1 up to, I think right now he's all the way up to S7, and he's got other variants of different models, different styles. Even the S series are different blade styles, different, different scales, but Michael is, man, he's just a master craftsman, and he makes all kinds of things, not just knives, but also a lot of other EDC related stuff like pins and just a whole host of things. He's very well known too for his clips and his different clips. His Angry Bird clip on, I believe, the S4 really took the market by storm. People loved it, and it was just super cool. He makes just a whole host of different things out of metal, and the guy is really gifted, and he's fairly young as far as makers go. So there's going to be a lot more from him. He really does things, and I'm a little overwhelmed. I really don't know where to start with this thing. I guess we can start with the blade. The grind on this thing is just amazing. Recurves are undeniably my favorite as far as knives go. The scale on these are hard to explain. They are so well sculpted. It feels like almost that this came as a clay mold. You put it in your hand, it formed to your hand, and then turned to metal. I mean, I was a little concerned that this wasn't going to be enough for me to get a really good grip on, But my goodness, this thing is just amazing. The sculpted metal is, I mean, it's straight out of Terminator. I mean, you'd swear that this was liquid until you wrapped your hand around it. Just absolutely stunning. And I got lucky when I came across this, because this finish, I couldn't have asked for a better finish. He does a lot that are called, I think, a Joker finish, and there are a lot of bright, splashy colors, and that's really not me. I'm not really into those types of finishes on knives. A lot of people are, and that's fine, but it's just not me. One thing that you'll notice on these two that makes it amazing is the, if you'll notice, the show side has been beveled a lot more than the lock side, which just makes flipping that much easier. The action on it is as good as any knife can get anywhere at any time. The D10 on it is perfect. When these came out in 2017, I think I had an S2 at the time. It was a prototype. It was decked out. It was gorgeous, but it was a little bit small for me. It was a 3.5-inch knife, so I didn't have it very long. But these came out, and man, they exploded, and people wanted them, and people went crazy for them, and there were a lot of different variations. He skeletonized, and I don't think you're going to be able to see this, but he skeletonizes these scales on the inside, and I know that he actually did some skull work in some of these models as well on the inside of the frame. So you couldn't really even see it, but you would know it was there, and that's just phenomenal. But this is just a neat little detail that he's added. The stolen souls. It's a bitch to photograph. I mean, you could take a picture of that, but forget getting any other part of the knife where you can get the knife, and forget that. There's just so much here to talk about. It's got jimping where you need it. The grip on this thing is phenomenal. I would love to have one of his custom clips on this, but this clip is perfect. It's exactly what a clip should be as far as riding in your pocket. The finish on this bronze, this worn bronze finish is phenomenal. There's just nothing wrong with this knife. There's nothing bad with this knife. I've only carried this knife maybe once or twice, not because I'm worried about damaging it, but I'm just so in love with this thing that, well, I don't want to scratch it. I mean, this isn't a fancy high-end, Mokutai or whatever finish. It looks like, man, it just looks like leather. Like somebody wrapped leather over, hand-carved wood and wrapped leather over it. I mean, it's just stunning. It's phenomenal. The jimping on this clip it goes all the way around the clip. Not sure what the purpose of that would be. I do not know. But if you ever needed to hold it like that, you have jimping for it. But you're never not going to open this thing with any issues. It's just freaking outstanding. If you want to choke up, you can get way up here. This kukri style, when I look at this, I see a Bowie. You could call it a drop point, you could call it a recurve, whatever. Obviously recurves are my thing. Now this scale isn't as tall as most of my knives. But the way that it's sculpted and flared out, it kind of fools you in the way that it fills your hand. Now, I'm a big recurve guy. I love recurves. So as far as tallness, this blade isn't really as tall as I thought it was going to be. It's actually quite a bit leaner than I thought it was going to be. If you take a look, let's see, we can use our trusty Kershaw here, give you an idea size wise. So it's not really even that much taller in the scale than a Kershaw, or really even as tall. 3.2 inch blade, 4-inch blade. So but it's just the way it's flared out. I mean, this is going to be a flat scale, so just the three-dimensional contouring of this is just, it's just so impressive. It's amazing. And you know, that's where Jason comes in and really does his thing and just made these outstanding. You take someone who is a master bladesmith like Jason, and then combine them with somebody that is equally as creative and able with metal as Zieba, and man, you're going to get some really cool stuff. If you've never looked at Zieba or checked out Zieba, he's ZiebaKnives.com, I believe. You can find him in a lot of places. His knives are very popular. They sell out very fast. You know, he's just makes all kinds of really cool stuff for the EDC world, you know, that are somewhat knife adjacent, if you will. Just an amazing knife. I'm not sure if I ever want to part with this thing. It's absolutely stunning. So you've got Zieba on this side, and then you've got, I don't know if that's going to show up, Knight Knives on that side. There's just nothing wrong with this knife. If you guys, you know, they have a mini, and I think the minis go for, you know, $500-600, $4 or $5, you know, depending on if they're new or secondary market. I think you can pick up one new for like $500. So if you don't want something quite so big, you can get a smaller version of this. And I'm not sure if they're 3.2 or 3.5 inches, but you know, probably a lot more EDC friendly for the general population that bitch about size and weight. This for me is phenomenal. I mean, I would love this thing to be taller and 4.2. I mean, this, you know, it can't, I don't know if it could be too big, but man, there's just, this thing is just like fluid in motion. I mean, it's just so gorgeous everywhere. Absolutely outstanding. I have no idea what this thing weighs, but we can find out. I'm gonna guess 9. Oh man, way off. So just under 7 ounces, which is pretty outstanding for a 4-inch blade. You know, I think the one I reviewed last week from Sick Boy, I think it was 9.5 ounces, but it's a lot taller blade. So you know, that all adds up. Oh hey, I'll tell you what, let's do this Gesila real quick. This gift from God. 1.5 ounces, so you know, that's real easy to put in your pocket, in your shirt pocket or wherever, and carry around. I mean, that's, you're not even gonna know it's there. But the way this thing fits in your hand, I mean, in just any way that you're gonna use it, you know, is just phenomenal. This thing, I don't know that I would ever want to take this thing out and stick it in a tree and baton with it. I think it would take it, but I have other knives for that. This thing, to me, I see this and I just see art. I mean, this thing is just so stunning, and I know guys will always bitch about how hard it is to sharpen this, and that's true. They are a bitch to sharpen, but I know a guy named Tom Veff with 30 years of experience, and if it comes down to it, it's definitely worth a trip to his shop to let him do it for me, so I don't even worry about that. So there you go, guys. The Zieba S5 XL. Stunning, just stunning, beautiful knife. If you ever get a chance to get one, or if you've ever been curious or wondered, and that's just, this is one of those knives for me that just comes along and just puts you back in your seat, which is phenomenal, because you know, the more you get into knives, the more you see, the more you handle, the more skeptical you get about certain things. And I could see this one being in my collection forever. It's just got everything done so damn well. So check out Zieba on Instagram, on Facebook, on the worldwide interwebs. check out the weed Gesila on pretty much anybody that sells weed knives. Knife Center, Blade HQ, Knife Ships Free, Smoky Mountain Knife Works, pretty much anywhere. And if you've ever been curious or wanted to try a Pry Bar, go for that one, man, because it pretty much does everything, and it's thought out and done well, looks cool, and it'll fit in your pocket really well. Well, there you go, guys. I appreciate everyone tuning in and watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We have a lot of fun. We got some really cool stuff coming up. I'm trying to get these reviews out quicker than I have in the past. This has been a kind of a long year. Everyone's stuck at home right now, and everyone knows why. And that's a whole nother story. But we'll get through it all, and we'll keep looking at and playing with knives and enjoying ourselves, because this is America and this is what we do. So you guys all, God bless you and be safe. Have a good day.